Well, the game we got to talk about now is the Chiefs and the Bucs. I don't know why we got to talk about this game. It's Tampa Bay. It's Tom Brady. All this, that, and the other. All
Big
these
game.
9 Super Bowl appearances, 6
Big game.
Super Bowls, this, that, and the other. They got Antonio Brown. They got Mike Evans. They got the vaunted defense, and they are going to get run out of the building this Sunday by the Kansas City Chiefs, I think. And the reason why I think that, before I hand this over to you, is Kansas City does not have a great defense. They don't. Their defense is mediocre. It's really
it's good enough considering
it's good enough, but really for them, they're just mediocre on the back end. They're mediocre at stopping the run. Without a play action pass game, Tom Brady is not. But here's the other side. I'm not worried about Tom Brady. I'm not worried about Mike Evans. I'm not worried about them. What I'm worried about is the slide I've seen over that Tampa Bay defense over the last several weeks. The last several weeks, Tampa Bay's defense has not looked good.
No.
And if they don't tighten their butts up, it ain't going to be, and I know that's improper English, but it's going to be an improper game when it comes to the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes. Chiefs could win by 10 here.
Chiefs are favored by 3 points in this game. All right, here's the thing, Steve. I am worried about Tom Brady. He did not look good last week. And week 11, or week 10 rather, he looked fantastic. Week 11, he looked crappy. Week 9, he looked really bad. So that's 2 out of the last 3 games. Here's a stat for you, Steve. Steve Champagne, I've got this for you. Over the last 4 weeks, Tom Brady on passes more than 20 yards down the field. What do you think he is?
Bad.
0 for 19. 0 for 19 on passes 20 or more yards down the field. That is disastrous. Just for those of you who are new to football, that means it translates to a quarterback rating of 0.0. He has not looked good. I am concerned about Tom Brady. I'm also concerned about some of the play calling. Bruce Arians has been really good about deflecting and pushing all this pressure on Brady and saying, he even mentioned, Arians even said at one point this week that he believes Tom Brady was being confused by defensive schemes. What? If that is true, I cannot possibly imagine why that would be. My old lady watched this game with me, and she asked me at one point, she said, do you think Tom Brady is developing CTE? Do you think he's taking too many shots to the head? He's been missing people violently downfield. He's been throwing to wide open defenders when there wasn't even a receiver around. He even forgot a few weeks ago, at the end of the game whether it was 3rd down or 4th down. I don't know what's going on with Tom Brady. He is not himself. But Bruce Arians has a part to play in this as well. And it's kind of, I shouldn't say this word, but it's kind of pissing me off that Arians is not taking any kind of responsibility. Look at Bill Belichick. When the Patriots lose, what is Bill Belichick? What is one of the first things that he says every time? I need to coach better. I need to coach better. Arians has not even hinted at that. He's put all the blame on the shoulders of Tom Brady. He said that he's getting confused by defensive coverage and he needs to make better decisions. Okay, well, first of all, they need to guard him a little better because the offensive line has not been getting it done. And second of all, the play calling has been crappy. You mentioned run-pass option. They completely abandoned the run early on in that game last week. They just chucked the run out the window and said, hey, Brady, you're 25, right? Just throw the ball every down. And that is not going to get it done. The Buccaneers have got to tighten up, and it starts from the top. Which, I mean, you could say arguably the top in the Buccaneers is Tom Brady. Maybe that's true. Maybe it really is his team, and we all kind of know that it is. But coaching has to come into it, and some of the fault has to lay on the coaching. I'm really upset at the way the Bucs have looked. The Chiefs win this game. They do cover the point spread. And at this point, if the Bucs don't get it together, they won't even make the playoffs.
That's true. The Bucs might not make the playoffs. I've seen the confusion in Tom Brady. I have seen that, but I still think you got to remember they just threw Antonio Brown in the mix. He wasn't on the field. I think there's all kinds of uncertainty with who's doing what and where are they going with Tampa Bay, if you will. And I don't think you're going to see that with the Kansas City Chiefs, and that's why the Chiefs will win this game.
Who's Sizzle got?
Well, Sizzle has the Chiefs too, but here's the thing with Tampa. All right, here's the thing with Tampa. Like you said, what was it? Oh, last week against the Carolina Panthers, it was so easy. They could have scored 60 points. The week before by the Saints, Tom Brady was a mess. The week before, Tom Brady was great. The week before, Tom Brady was terrible. The week before, Tom Brady was great. Well, had a bad week. Are they going to upset the Chiefs? You know what I mean? Up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yeah, inconsistent.
And we can be consistent.
It's inexcusable that they're so inconsistent. It's inexcusable with the personnel that they have, and they even made a trade at linebacker, and they shipped Quan Alexander off to San Francisco and got a really good linebacker in return for it. There is no excuse for them to be this inconsistent. And like I said, Arians has got to take the fall at some point. But we're all going for a clean sweep. We're all taking the Chiefs in this game. And that's your Chiefs-Bucs wrap-up here on Cheap Seat Sports.
Well, you know what? Before we wrap this up, though, let me ask you this question. Let's get some drama involved here. If the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lose this game and then they go on a slide and don't make the playoffs, which is highly unlikely, does Bruce Arians lose his job?
No, I don't believe so. And I think the reason for that is because Tampa Tom has been playing so inconsistently, and he's been flat out bad at certain points. I mean, they need to really work more on screens and run-pass option. You said those words yourself. You were the one that brought that up, and you hit it right on the head. They need to work more of that in. For them to abandon the running game like they did in, the second quarter last week? And it wasn't the Panthers, it was the Rams they were playing Monday night. I mean, that was just ridiculous. I cannot fathom why they did that. It's not like Ronald Jones has been bad. So, I mean, I don't get it. And for Arians to try to push everything off of him onto Tom, I'll tell you what, I hope that he pulled Tom Brady aside before he made those comments to the media, which I'm sure he probably did, and said, look, I'm going to kind of throw you under the bus on this. And, Tom is always the guy who says, I want to be treated like every other player. I don't want special treatment. I don't want preferential treatment. I want to be held to the same standards as everybody else. How come Bruce Arians gets off the hook? Huh?
Well,
answer me that.
What I'm saying, though, is with Tom Brady, you mentioned the stat about over 20 yards, how he hasn't completed a pass.
0 for 19.
And I'm saying he's getting the ball there, and in some instances, it's his inaccuracy at these passes over 20 yards. The ball's either sailing over the receiver's head, or
he's throwing to the wrong side.
Or he's going to the wrong side, but the ball is going there. Read a stat now, because they create, everybody's got to win a prize. You know that, right?
Yeah.
They have a new stat now.
Okay.
And Tom Brady's leading in it.
What is the stat?
Air distance. Doesn't mean whether you complete the ball or not.
Right. It's air yards.
It's just air yards. So in aerial throws, Tom Brady's leading the league. Doesn't say
great, but he's not completing any of them.
But that's what I mean. These freaking awards, they come up with everything. What are they going to get?
It's kind of a useless stat, I mean, it's like, has that translated into major
success?
Well,
no, they're going to have a new guy that's going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame in 30 years. It'll be placeholder of the year. The guy who holds the ball for the field goal kicker. Oh, he was the greatest placeholder, never missed a placehold. But air distance. Will you get out of here with air distance? Why do we even have a stat like this? I mean, this is insane.
Well, a lot of the reason for statistics like that, Steve, is because of fantasy football. Because if you're thinking about drafting, picking up a wide receiver from Team A or Team B, you may be looking at air yards for quarterbacks.
But if he doesn't complete the pass,
well, if you're looking for big chunk yardage and possible, touchdowns, long touchdowns, then that does kind of enter into it. It's not the fault of the person that made up the statistic that Tom Brady has been so awful with it. Okay? It doesn't make the statistic any less untrue. I just don't know really how relevant that is, considering he's been so inaccurate.
Well, Patrick Mahomes will light the Bucs up. I don't like the defense from the Buccaneers as of late. I think Tom Brady could get it together. He's just got too many weapons not to get it together. So I'm going to definitely think, Chiefs by 10.
Okay. I'll agree with that. I was thinking
I'm
8
going
I was
crazy
thinking
on
about
this.
8, but yeah.
Chiefs by 10. Oh, I'm probably
The Bucs will bounce back. Bucs will still make the playoffs. I mean, they better.
You're probably right.
They
8
better.
points on this game. You're probably right on this. 8 points instead of 10. I was just being arrogant there. I don't know, but that's going to wrap it up for the Chiefs and Bucs. Looking forward to seeing that game this Sunday. Thanks for watching Cheap Seat Sports NFL Weekly Predictions right here on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, ring the bell for more fantastic videos the rest of the season and even in the offseason too. Like, subscribe, comment, and be a part of the show at NFL Weekly Predictions from Cheap Seat Sports.